swallowed star 474 Excitemen. Ping Hai Company's 86th level meeting room. Big Sister Sue, it should be fine, right? The short-haired lady looked at Sue Xin. No problem. Sue Xin sat calmly. Luo Feng had been in Primal Chaos City for over 30 years, however in the actual universe, it had been over 100 years. It might seem like a long time, however in the vast universe, it was simply a little flash. Especially with the eternal body, Sue Xin's appearance hasn't changed at all over the 100 years, only her gaze and aura. It had obviously matured from before, just like light sharpening and shaping a gemstone, revealing her beauty. I don't know if we can make it in time. Sue Xin closed her eyes, muttering within, Luo Feng is just about to leave Primal Chaos City. I hope we pass the inspection in a few days. Pa! 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 Several knocks on the door. Come in. Sue Xin opened her eyes, her gaze deep and wise. This was formed from managing a large corporation for long periods of time, something that formed naturally over the course itself. The door pushed open and a very formally dressed Bo Te Lai bureau chief, accompanied by a silver-haired green-eyed middle-aged lady, walked into the meeting room, followed by 8 other staff behind them. How's the inspection? Sue Xin smiled and stood up. Haha, I knew Mrs. Luo wouldn't let me down. Bo Te Lai laughed loudly. Beside him the middle-aged lady also smiled. Mrs. Luo, according to our audit department's inspection, your half-year report is completely accurate, with a marginal error of only 0.01%. Sue Xin immediately grew excited. Big Sister Sue, we've succeeded. Beside, the short-haired lady cheered excitedly. Congratulations, Mrs. Luo. The middle-aged lady smiled and extended her arm. Shaking hands is a formality of Earth, right? Thank you, thank you. Sue Xin fought hard to suppress her excitement as she shook her hand, however her eyes were already filling with tears of joy. Her hard work was all for this day. Finally, they managed to reach it just in the nick of time. Mrs. Luo. Bureau Chief Bo Te Lai smiled. According to the half-year report, Ping Hai Company's current capital value is at 100,012 mixed elements. According to our levels given to the companies under the Virtual Universe Company, Ping Hai Company's capital has already reached the 2nd tier level. Hence, I will immediately request, within a day, for the changes within Ping Hai Company. Mrs. Luo, you too will be rewarded with the respective power. Yes. The silver-haired green-eyed lady nodded. In a while, the main department will send people over to arrange matters for Mrs. Luo to enter the core. Congratulations, congrats. Bureau Chief Bo Te Lai laughed loudly. Mrs. Luo, you've entered the core level as a last phase member. Mr. Luo is in the core absolute beginning region. Husband and wife have both entered the core of the Virtual Universe Company. This is definitely a fairy tale. Sue Xin could barely contain her excitement and joy. Thanks, my company has already prepared a banquet for everybody, Sue Xin said. Mrs. Luo. The silver-haired green-eyed lady shook her head and smiled. I need to leave immediately to report the results back to the management. Also request for your company's rise in tier, hence I won't be staying. Yes, the change in tier of a company is extremely important. We do not dare to stay. Bureau Chief Bo Te Lai said too. After a while, the group from the Virtual Universe Company left quickly. Only Sue Xin and her helper were left. Big Sister Sue, Big Sister Sue. The short-haired lady cheered excitedly. We did it, we've succeeded, truly, we really did it before Mr. Luo Feng returned. We've made the company huge, becoming a 2nd-tier company. My God, this is simply unbelievable, too unbelievable. Su Xin nodded, her face filled with excitement. As long as we work hard, we can do anything. We did it. We really did it. Su Xin turned, looking out through the huge glass window. In it showed her reflection. Compared to the time when the swallowing beast incident happened on Earth, her appearance hadn't changed at all, still as beautiful, her figure still slim. Over the 100 years of change, she hardly ever got this excited anymore. At this time, however, the lady reflected in that full-sized window was almost like a teenage girl falling in love for the first time, filled with excitement and anticipation. I don't know just what expression he will have when he meets me in Yuxiang Mountain. Su Xin said softly, her eyes filled with anticipation. When Luo Feng was in Primal Chaos City close to 20 years, 60 years had already passed in the actual universe. Over 60 years, Su Xin had turned the initial 30,000 mixed elements from their merger into a huge corporation. Over 60 years, raising it to over 100,000 mixed elements. There was Luo Hua's work in it too, however Su Xin as the main person in charge and had played a critical role. Over 60 years, earning over 60,000 mixed elements. This speed of profits, even the master of the Yun Mo planet couldn't compare. Of course, the only reason Su Xin was able to do such a thing was because she had the initial capital to begin with. As Luo Feng had given large amounts of wealth to his younger brother and wife, making Ping Hai Company's initial formation already having a value of 600 mixed elements. 600 mixed elements. It was comparable to a wealthy sector lord, even a poorer undying. This level of wealth, even the Black Dragon Mountain Empire Emperor couldn't fork out such a sum immediately. The starting capital was huge. Naturally, the scale of their operations started big. If one began a new company with only 100 million universe dollars, that's considered extremely wealthy in the Black Dragon Mountain Empire. That little bit of capital could at most buy a few hundred life planets. However, after 10 million years of struggle, increasing their wealth by 10,000 times, that would only be 1 trillion universe dollars, simply one mixed element. Hence the starting capital was very important. Due to Luo Feng, Ping Hai's starting capital was close to 600 mixed elements. And later, due to Su Xin's leadership and skills, Luo Hua's investment abilities, they grew on a very large but difficult scale. Through this virtuous cycle, they attracted the virtual universe company's investment, allowing their scale to take another huge jump and advance forward. Finally, 100 years of time, Ping Hai Company's net capital finally exceeded 100,000 mixed elements. This was a huge sum that would make many undyings hold their breaths. Primal Chaos City. The energies revolved. Luo Feng sat cross-legged in his own training quarters balcony. On the other balconies too were warriors either standing or sitting. With a glance, tens of thousands of warriors were treasuring their time and looking at the skies. Those visible origin laws, almost like gears revolving, they glanced at them before returning to train. And Luo Feng, even though it looked like he was studying, in truth his consciousness had entered the virtual universe training grounds and was going through simulations. The 9 Universe Tablets secret room will open again tomorrow afternoon for another batch of warriors to enter. Luo Feng had checked earlier. Then I'll go to the Heavenly Bridge again tomorrow. As for now, it's my last chance to train, putting together everything I've learnt over these past years, raising the power of the Nanshan armament to its limit. Studying was very important. Unleashing what one studied was important too. On the balcony, Luo Feng opened his eyes. Come meet me now. A voice immediately resounded within his mind, come meet me now. Come meet me now. Come meet me now. The sound reverberated time again, causing the surviving 816 geniuses of the initial 1,000 to stop their training. It's the night? Luo Feng immediately rushed into the sky. Shua! 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 From the vast wastelands, from the different corners of Primal Chaos City, silhouettes rushed into the sky. A total of over 900 silhouettes headed towards the same direction. In the skies of the city, a dark blue fish that was a 1,000 m long, almost like a strange beast waving its tail, broke through the condensed primal chaos space and flew over. That powerful energy that made people submit emitted from within that blue fish ship. Ka! The cabin door opened and 10 silhouettes flew out. Leading them was a green-armored, purple-scaled man. The large fish that was floating in mid-air immediately vanished. At this time, Luo Feng and the rest of the 816 geniuses and close to 100 undyings had already gathered in the air above, respectfully waiting. Greetings, Knight. A group of undyings bowed. Greetings, Knight. Luo Feng and the vast group of geniuses too bowed respectfully in mid-air. Humph! A snort, just that sound alone, fell like a heavy hammer on the group's hearts. The green-armored, purple-scaled man was like a god, coldly gazing down on the floating group, and the tens of thousands of warriors in Primal Chaos City could all feel that pressure, not daring to look at him. Terrifying. Luo Feng couldn't help but feel cold sweat bead down his forehead. It was almost like an ant being stared at by a huge and powerful dragon. I didn't expect the knight's rage to be so terrifying. Luo Feng held his breath. Back then we first met the Nine-Blade Knight in the virtual universe. Maybe the virtual universe network could at most hold some of his consciousness, hence his pressure wasn't that strong. When he came the last time, he controlled his aura too. I didn't expect that, simply letting it out a little. Silence. Close to 100 undyings, and over 800 geniuses didn't dare make a sound. Primal Chaos City is the safest place we've arranged for you all. The green-armored, purple-scaled man stood in mid-air, almost like a god, surveying the group below him. And 1/5th of the 1,000 died here. It's very disappointing. Silence. In the air above the city, Luo Feng and the group could only listen obediently and not make a sound. There's still 10 days before you have to leave Primal Chaos City. The man said coldly. When that happens, you'll discover that it won't be as safe as before. If you can lose 1/5 of the group in such a safe place like Primal Chaos City, then when you return to the actual universe, I fear that within 100 years, only 500 of you will be left. Humph. Grasp your final 10 days. Whoever needs to try the heavenly bridge, go ahead. Whoever needs to study the tablets, go ahead. When you leave Primal Chaos City, it'll be a long time before you ever return here again. The green-armored, purple-scaled man waved his hand and ordered, "Go." Yes. The large group replied. With that, the group dispersed and headed in all directions in the city. The pressure exerted by the knight was simply too much.